Friends, do you remember last year we had learnt about some of the natural resources like soil, air and water. It's time now to be a little more retrospective about the natural resources like wildlife and forests, which in itself is a huge ecosystem but is getting depleted. Water, which provides livelihood to millions and covers most of our earth, unfortunately is at stake. Coal and petroleum are slowly leaving us. That's why we need to carefully look at them and contribute in managing them, maybe in a small way as we can. What really the natural resources do for us? Just imagine anything and everything that we use and that comes from the natural resources. Even your shoelace, baby diapers, mouth-watering food, equipments used in lab, tools and gadgets are all made from available natural resources. Even the laptop that your mom uses, the utensils which you find in your kitchen come directly or indirectly from the resources on this earth. The only thing that we get from outside is energy, which we receive from the sun. Even this energy is processed by various biological, physical and chemical processes on the earth before we make use of it. But why do we really need to use these resources carefully? Simple. Because they are not unlimited. With the human population increasing at a tremendous rate due to improvement in healthcare, the demand for all resources is increasing at an exponential rate. Under such circumstances, they need to be managed with a long-term perspective so that they will last for generations to come. This indeed needs a methodical planning. The management should also ensure an equitable distribution of resources so that all sections of the society benefit from the development of these resources. Here's an activity for you. Do you know there are international norms which are laid down to regulate the emission of CO2? Discuss these norms with your classmate and teacher. Just think, how can you help in meeting these norms? Maybe in the form of a small contribution? Our Earth is a blue planet. This is because 71% of the Earth is covered with water. We have water in the form of seas, rivers, lakes and ponds. But you'll be surprised to know that 97% of all this is owned by seas alone. Seas together make our hydrosphere, an ecosystem which maintains life on Earth. Let's look at some startling facts. Average depth of sea is 3.7 kilometers. At some places, it is so deep that it can accommodate Mount Everest. The bottom of the sea is like our land, with pits, mountains, and even big grounds. There are even several mountain ranges under the sea. You will be surprised to know that 90% of the volcanic activities take place in the sea. Water is kingdom for thousands and lakhs of aquatic species which live peacefully here and contribute silently in maintaining our ecosystem. While water provides them shelter, it can kill them if it gets polluted. It is human intervention again which ruins the water resources. I am sure you must have seen such disturbing visuals around your vicinity. The industrial effluents, tons of domestic garbage, and untreated chemical wastes are silently unloaded in our rivers. And as if this is not enough, we do many unthoughtful activities like washing clothes and excreting in rivers. We are bent upon spoiling the resources by making them gutters. The first and foremost effect is on the aquatic life. The disease-causing microorganisms attack fishes. Fishes in turn, when consumed by humans, cause various diseases to them. We pay for what we do. I'm sure you all know how we can check the level of pollutants in water. It is by pH. Here is an activity for you, but this has to be strictly performed under an adult supervision. Try to find pH of water that you get in your house. Did you find the water polluted? Forest. How cool this word is. Actually, the forests are biodiversity hotspots. A number of species and a range of life forms are found here. As a matter of fact, as much as we depend on the forest for our various needs, they too depend on us for their survival and to flourish. A proper management of this resource has become thus an inevitable requirement of our times. An unrestrained deforestation is the biggest threat to this resource. The loss of diversity may lead to a loss of ecological stability. So, we should not encourage deforestation. We need to look at the stakeholders who depend on forest for their varied requirements. First and foremost are the people living around the forest who depend on forest for various aspects of their life. The second stakeholders are the forest officials, the government people who help in protecting forest resources from various unlawful activities. Some industries depend on the resources from forest, like the paper industry. But in case of this stakeholder, one has to be careful about over-deforestation. Then comes the wildlife. Should we not say that the forests are actually their properties, as it provides them natural shelter? And lastly, the natural enthusiasts, who have a very vital role to play in conserving forest. One nature lover enlightens thousands and thus helps in creating awareness. Project Tiger was launched in 1973 with a mandate to conserve tigers in a holistic manner. The first ever All India Tiger Census in 1972 revealed an alarming figure of only 1,827 tigers. It was time to implement the Wildlife Protection Act. The Project Tiger is one of the most successful conservation ventures in the recent times. With the advanced IT tools and availability of wide range of software solutions, it has become easy to capture and process wildlife-related information, which then helps in decision making. The aim of Project Tiger is to conserve tigers in a comprehensive manner with an ecological approach. The WWF has also helped in this project by supplying advanced equipment, which helps in doing an in-depth research in conserving this finest symbol of the Earth's natural heritage. But what is the single biggest threat to the tiger?
Tiger habitats are empty of their prey, which is large hoofed animals like deer, wild pigs, wild cattle. These have been mostly hunted out by people, and as a result, although the forest is there, they are empty of tigers.
So the depletion of prey is the single biggest threat to the tiger, the top carnivore. Well, it's activity time. Make a list of some forest produce that you use. Here are some clues for you. Let's change the track for a while and know little about our water storage and harvesting structures. Large dams ensure storage of adequate water not just for irrigation but also for generating electricity. Pipes running through kilometers transport water for irrigation. People close to dams have an additional advantage to grow water-intensive crops like rice and sugarcane. The canal system of dams help in transporting huge amount of water to distant water-scarce areas. So, the dams help us in storage of adequate water, transferring water to far-flung areas for irrigation, generating electricity, and to carry out fishing activities. There are some issues, however, which coexist with dams. First are the social issues. Then we have the economic issues and also environmental issues. It is the duty of the government to resolve these issues amicably. Watershed management is scientific conservation of soil and water to increase the biomass production. The aim is to develop primary resources of land and water to produce secondary resources of plants and animals for use in a manner which will not cause ecological imbalance. Watershed management not only increases the production and income of the watershed community, but also mitigates droughts and floods. It also increases the life of the dams and reservoirs. Thus, watershed management brings in a holistic development. It would be interesting to see some of the rainwater harvesting structures. In this type of planning, the flowing rainwater is collected in a field well through a proper filtration mesh. This increases the subsoil water level in the surrounding areas and helps in replenishing the water table. These contours on the hill bring down the rainwater in a spiral way. The water then is collected in a well. The roof water harvesting is one of the most popular ways of conserving rainwater. Even you can try one at home. Water harvesting is an age-old concept which is practiced traditionally in almost all parts of India. Since the dawn of Industrial Revolution, we have been using increasing amount of energy to meet our basic needs. One important source of energy is through fossil fuels, that is, coal and petroleum. Coal and petroleum were formed from the degradation of biomasses million years ago. Actually, they can be called as a huge reservoir of carbon. The management of these energy resources requires slightly different perspective from those discussed earlier, because these resources will be exhausted in the future, no matter how carefully we use them. Petrol is going to last for just another 40 years and coal for another 200 years. And thus, we would need to look for an alternative source of energy. Here's a task for you. How can you contribute in reducing consumption of coal and petroleum products? Walk down some distances. Use CFL lights in your house. Minimize use of lifts. Wear extra woolens. Avoid cigarettes. So friends, finally, it would be great if you could practice these 3 simple R's. Reduce means you use less and save the resources. Recycle means making of new things from the old ones. Reuse means you simply use things again and again. Do not feel powerless by the scale of problems that chase you. Find ways how we can make difference.